Hi, my name's Meg Davis. I'm a senior biology major at UMass Amherst. I'm also part of the ICONS program, and I'm researching the environmental implications of water consumption by reducing shower duration at UMass. Before I get into my individual research goals, my partner Radha Dave and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about how our research started 3 years ago in the UMass ICONS program.
Our old aim is to reduce water waste at UMass by creating a simple device that makes people conscious about their water use while showering. For our pilot study, we learned that approximately 20% of indoor water usage comes from showers alone. In the context of UMass restrooms, we realized that we looked at the water conservation posters and did nothing about it.
So we created what we called a water timer, but what we now call an active intervention device. And this provides an interactive feature consisting of a button and a screen that displays the time spent in the shower with an approximation of the amount of water used in gallons. The data was stored on an SD card, and then it was uploaded to a research folder so we could analyze it. Looking at the distribution of our data, you can see a shift between the control group and the active intervention group. Before intervention, the mean shower duration was just over 12 minutes, and after intervention, the mean shower duration was 7 minutes and 13 seconds. We found a significant difference of almost 5 minutes between the two groups, which is about a 40% reduction in shower duration.
Our current aim is to find to what extent does individualized and targeted information increase one's water conservation behaviors.
The design for the initial water timer was split up into two devices with two distinct functions. The first function was the active intervention itself, so the timer function, and the second was the actual data collection. So we developed a remote sensing device that detects water flow through a shower head via sound vibrations. The water flow acts as a trigger for a stopwatch to start the timer, and the absence of the water flow ends the timer. This data was then saved on a micro SD card, so no interactive features were included on this device. We created two intervention methods, the first being a passive intervention poster on the left, and this mimics the original posters from UMass that were placed in the residence halls. And we developed an active intervention device, which is on the right, and it's a modification and improvement from our original water timer, and it provides live feedback to the user, showing shower duration on the top and water consumption in that time on the bottom.
Our original plan was to place these devices in the residence halls, but COVID made us modify some of our study design. We recruited participants instead, allowing us to complete our research remotely. There are 3 different groups in our current methodology. This includes the control group, passive intervention, and active intervention. The control group has a non-interactive device and no direct information about water conservation. The passive intervention has a poster about water conservation and a non-interactive device. This intervention is considered passive as the participants do not interact with the intervention directly. The third group is the active intervention. The active intervention device has the closest function to our original water timer. The participants are randomly assigned to one of the 3 groups in order to reduce bias. After the participants obtain the data from the remote sensors, they are asked to upload it to us anonymously in order to ensure confidentiality.
We expect a moderate decrease in shower duration for the passive intervention and a substantial decrease in shower duration for the active intervention. Initially, we anticipated having 30 total participants with 10 participants in each group. However, only 9 participants opted in, and we only had 3 participants in the control group, 4 in the passive intervention, and 2 in the active intervention. We have a total of 40 showers recorded for the control group, 70 showers for the passive intervention, and 96 showers for the active intervention. So this brings me to my individual research questions. We have 2 questions, one focusing on the cause of reducing shower durations and the other on the effects. We hypothesized that as information about water cost and usage becomes more available, detailed, and targeted, students will decrease the time that they spend showering, which will lead to a reduction in water consumption and carbon footprint at UMass Amherst. So in the context of my thesis, water conservation is defined as the beneficial reduction in water loss, waste, or use. And although water covers over 70% of the Earth's surface, only about 0.5% is potable drinking water. This should be considered a limited resource, as almost 30% of the world does not have access to it. One instance of this locally is the Ipswich River Basin. So the Ipswich River Basin is part of 21 communities within Massachusetts, and it supplies water for 250,000 people in and out of the basin. Between 1998 and 2008, the upper basin ran dry 6 times, which is a huge problem as it threatens the stability of an already overpumped groundwater source. With the predicted population to increase by 5% around the basin in the next 20 years, this is extremely problematic as we are likely to see increased overpumping in the future. However, this isn't just a local issue, and we can actually see similar trends all across the U.S. in various regions where there have been severe groundwater depletions over the past 100 years. With the predicted population to reach between 9.6 and 13.2 billion people, and climate predictions indicating a 1.3 degrees Celsius increase by 2100, it's extremely important that we understand how these changes will influence the world's potable water supply, and we need to immediately address resource conservation as a whole. Beyond subtracting from the limited supply of existing potable water, water consumption directly affects energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. So before water is available for public consumption and before it's returned to the environment, a significant amount of energy is required at each step of the process. The byproducts of these steps are greenhouse gases, which include carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Simply reducing water consumption directly reduces energy costs and greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, and thus mitigates the impact on the environment. We found that the mean shower duration for the control group was 11 minutes, 3 seconds. For the passive intervention was 7 minutes, 24 seconds. And for the active intervention was 10 minutes and 38 seconds. We found a significant difference between the control and the passive intervention methods, with a reduction in shower duration of around 33% with the intervention. Although we didn't see a significant difference between the active intervention and the other groups, there were some limitations to our study which might explain this. The first limitation is the small number of participants we had, which means that our samples might not be representative of the true population. A second limitation is that participants are opt-in, which means that there is likely some self-selection bias happening. And the last limitation is that there was an infrequent submission of data by the participants, which makes it hard to compare general trends over time. Despite these limitations, there still are some implications of our results. A 33% reduction can save UMass over $230,000 per year on water usage alone, and by understanding how a significant portion of indoor water consumption is affected by behavioral changes, implementation of a similar intervention method at a larger scale may yield significant positive impacts on the environment. Water consumption in the dorms at UMass Amherst makes up 35.5% of the campus's total water usage, and projected usage by 2030 could see positive impacts depending on the level of decrease in consumption. Total energy costs of a single shower may not seem high, but when they're put into perspective over multiple years or among a large population, they're extremely high. So a single shower costs 97 cents to $1.07, and this turns into about 0.004 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. For a 4-person household, this is almost $30 a week, which is just over $1,500 a year. And for 13,000 UMass students on campus, this is 131,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents per calendar year. Assuming a 33% reduction, as found in our study, we could prevent almost 44,000 metric tons of carbon from being emitted every year at UMass Amherst. Significant environmental benefits of reducing water consumption include reduced wastewater production and pollution to the surrounding ecosystems, lower construction impacts on wildlife habitats, and water retention in naturally occurring systems. All wastewater created inside the home ends up either in a septic tank or public sewer system and is sent to wastewater treatment plants for processing. Within these treatment plants, greenhouse gas emissions are released via different treatment steps, and they contribute to the 290 million metric tons of carbon emitted each year. Although these plants filter many contaminants out, microplastics and endocrine-disrupting chemicals like pharmaceuticals are not always effectively removed. Many are dumped into the aquatic and marine habitats, which disrupt the development of many aquatic species. Ecological communities depend on groundwater recharge to maintain healthy and stable habitats. However, areas of overexploitation can lead to decreased diversity. In the Ipswich River Basin, there have been increases in generalists and decreases in native specialists, indicating reduced stream flow and overall water quality. This is especially concerning as conditions for ecological communities are likely to worsen due to human impacts. This research was initially developed in the UMass ICONS program as an independent case study, so we were hoping that either other UMass students or ICONS students would be willing to take over our research. So some ways to do this would be improving the device durability and data taking capability, whether this is through a Bluetooth data collection or improving battery life, or even making a shower timer app. Another way would be doing the study that we initially set out to do in the UMass dormitories, and some other areas of conservation could be working on communication strategies, increasing relevance in different communities, and compiling existing data on effective intervention methods. This research provides evidence for potential actions UMass Amherst could take to improve conservation, such as installing timers in shower stalls or optimizing poster placement in bathrooms. A special thanks to my partner, Radha Dave, without whom this research wouldn't be able to succeed. Thank you to Dr. Justin Furman and Dr. Charlie Schweik for their support and help over the past 3 years, and to Blake Hatch for helping with the design and prototyping of the physical devices themselves. Lastly, thank you to the UMass ICONS program and UMass SEEF funding for the resources and opportunities for our research to grow.